Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another chapter of Experiencer Interviews. And today we've got another amazing guest coming to us from the US. We have David Maez on board today. Dave, a current resident of Phoenix since 1982, has led a unique life shaped by profound experiences. At the age of 7, he underwent a transformative walk-in experience, gaining conscious recall of his pre-life agreements and original energy state while on the other side. Since then, Dave has been in contact with his team of otherworldly beings and has encountered various UFO phenomena, including sightings of a large black pyramid, a disc, a bell-shaped craft. His encounters also include a vivid experience with Grays by his bedside. Beyond his personal experiences, Dave has delved into his family's spiritual journey, marked by his father's near-death experience following a fatal car crash. His recent revelations, including his paternal grandfather's contact with the other side, further illuminate his family's connection to the spiritual realm. Having a hypnotic QHHT regression, he discovered his 9,796 past lives, most of which weren't in hominid form, and further understood why he has had 2 other past life experiences of why he's here on Earth at this time. For over 17 years, Dave has been actively involved in the UFO community, supporting individuals who have experienced contact and facilitating their acknowledgement of these events. He is closely associated with Phoenix MUFON and continues to mentor and encourage fellow contactees worldwide. In addition to his spiritual pursuit, Dave enjoys life's pleasures, including fine cigars and aged scotch. He is currently writing a book titled "And Then I Was Told to Wake Up," a walk-in's journey of becoming human and ET contact, which promises to share his unique perspective on destiny versus free will. So,
Yes,
Dave,
sir.
thank you so much for coming on.
Sure.
So, let's get into it. At what age did everything start off for you?
Somewhere between the age of 5, 6, or 7, I was just a little boy at the time.
So, you don't remember like having contact during when you were in the crib or like before that?
I don't have much memory of any type of visitations. Uh, it was at that time when I had that experience that really kind of shaped my life, especially from that moment going forward to today.
Okay. So, what happened at the age of 5?
So the age of 5, it was 4th of July, and I was sick, little boy in Salt Lake City, and had been just, I guess, like a flu or something, downstairs in my room, just kind of sick. I know I was asleep, and then while I was asleep, I heard this loud voice. It was a loud whisper in my head that says, "David," and I kind of woke up, and I'm not in my room. I know I was on the other side, and all of a sudden it was just kind of light, and then things just kind of started taking shape, and I was next to this gorgeous lake, beautiful large mountains. The colors were spectacular. The water was crystal clear, and I still remember the sounds of the water lapping on the shore. And I remember looking at maybe 50 feet away, and there was a light that just kind of started taking more of a form. It was still kind of formless, but it was still like a form, if that makes any sense. And then they just said, "Are you ready?" And I said, "Sure." Very casual. I'm sure a lot of people have in their mind, there's this solemnness, and the other side, it was just very, very casual. It's just a conversation, and we were about to discuss my life choices. And so we started progressing, and he asked me, "Okay." And then they said, "You're going to have this happen to you." And I just said, "Okay." I was told, and this is verbatim, you're going to have a daughter that's not your biological daughter, but you're going to love her as one. And I said, okay. So these agreements are it's just that simple. I was then told that you're going to get married and you're going to have a son and a daughter. And I said, no, I think instead I'd like to use that time to reflect upon my life so I have a better learning experience. So this other being said, okay. And then we had a couple more agreements, one of which hasn't happened yet. And that was it. He was just said, okay, go ahead and wake up. And I woke up and I'm a little boy back in Salt Lake City. And on the other side, we're incredibly intelligent. Incredibly intelligent. I didn't have a mind of a little, 5, 6, 7-year-old boy. Incredibly intelligent. And woke up and I wasn't sick anymore. And I think I went upstairs and asked for a hot dog because it was 4th of July. And my mom was just happy that I wasn't sick anymore and just started living my life. So as things progressed, I started seeing things. I started knowing things. And at that time, my parents were just devout Catholics. Went to a private Catholic school, and I just knew stuff. And it didn't make the nuns or priests very happy. I'd constantly say you'd see the statue of Jesus and it's like, I know him. He's a friend of mine. They would talk about certain things in religion and it's like, that's wrong. That's not how it is in life. It's like this little kid that's saying no. And yeah, I used to get in trouble quite a bit with them because, I just didn't follow in line with what they were saying. And, got older and all of a sudden, something happened and it's like, wait a second. I agreed to that. And then things just really kind of started falling into place. All of a sudden, I started remembering more about what happened that day when I had my walk-in experience. And as my life progressed, so all the agreements happened. And they happened in the most naturally occurring, fluid way possible. It's when they talk about life being a tapestry, it really is amazing how much of a tapestry it is. How my lifetime has these people interweave with my little thread and your little thread and my daughter's little thread, and everything just happens just so amazing, seamless, easy, and then we just learn from it.
Wow. Coming back to the experience when you were on the other side,
Yeah.
now, did you only see it's like you were basically outdoors, so you saw the formless form come to you,
Yeah.
and but did you see did you see buildings?
No, there was no buildings. It was just all outdoors, just as if you went to imagine the most beautiful lake with trees and mountains, times that by 1,000, and that's what you would see.
You said that the form was a he. Did you feel a gender type energy from it?
I want to say the communication, while I'm just going to assume it was telepathic because I don't remember having a voice, but being able to send thoughts in a male voice, and receiving a male voice. So, the whole on the other side, types or levels of biology of male, female, and that's only our understanding of we have males, we have females, and I'm sure somewhere in the universe there's many different forms, and that's the best I'd be able to relate with it with, my limited brain.
So it didn't morph into like a humanoid form.
No, no, it was just kind of, it's kind of like if you imagine like a very large, bright lava lamp, the lava that just goes and moves. Um, but it kind of took more of a figure type of a shape. Um, that's about as close as you can get it. It wasn't, form popped up and it looked like Brad Pitt or, our perception of what Jesus looks like. It was just a form, a very vague form.
Okay. Coming back to the agreement, I'm glad to hear that you had some sort of say into what's going to happen to you.
Of course we do.
Like, this is going to happen. This is going to happen, and that's it. So that's interesting.
I've given some thought about that. And I I don't know if being able to make a change for it with your life agreements has anything to do with possibly the number of lives you've had, the levels of life lessons that have accumulated through all your lifetimes, where you're able to finally get to the point where you're like, no, I think I want to change that for the betterment so I can have this experience or learn these lessons or go back and, just have a better learning experience. I can't say for sure that everybody has that choice or they don't have that choice. It's just my opinion.
I had quite a few people that had like NDEs where they shared similar experiences that they were in the field, vibrant colors. They saw colors that they've never seen before.
Mhm.
So yeah, the spectrum's a bit different over there, at least into what we were able to see. And they would see, but they saw like humans really, and like these humans. At least one person was brought up or brought to this building, but they were in the field, but there was a lone building in that field, and inside that building, everything was dedicated to this person. So it's like an Akashic records type of thing, but for that individual. So that person could see all of its past lives. So they
Yeah.
had, they got access through that house. So I thought, that would have been cool if you saw something similar. But did the in between when you were sleeping and then when you appeared in the field, did you go like through a portal or was it
No, it
instant?
was instantaneous. It was instantaneous. It was just snap, and I was there, and it's like beautiful.
Yeah.
Then just took a couple seconds looking around at everything, and then you kind of follow the edge of the lake, and all of a sudden here's this bright light forms, and as it's coming near, it just kind of starts to form something a little more solid shape, but not solid at the same time.
Right. A lot of experiences talk about that. At least some see them as orbs. So they're still formless, but they can morph into something else. But
Yeah.
you talked about also the voice. Did you throughout your life did you hear other voices?
Well, I'm clairaudient to some degree. Uh, I am a psychic medium, and a lot of them, a lot of us have varying degrees of levels of whatever of the clairs that you have: clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentient. Uh, some are stronger than others, and a lot of times I'll hear someone call my name or someone say something, and kind of turn to look, and there's no one there, or someone will, if I'm trying to get some information and if I'm in the mood for it to receive it, I'll hear, you know, uh, don't go there, or, you know, was some sort of information. And so hearing stuff for me growing up, that was kind of normal. But as far as being on the other side and the communication, it was no rush. It seemed like it took a great while, yet at the same time was just very brief.
Did you feel like love energy, like you were connected to everything?
I don't really recall uh, too much, feeling like that. It was more of the we have something important to discuss. Kind of like you and I are sitting here and we're communicating. You know, are you feeling hungry? Are you focusing on feeling hungry or thirsty? No, we're just want to get the communication aspect of the situation taken care of, and then we can talk about that. That's how I can best relay that.
Okay. Um, Growing up, did you have uh, like poltergeist activity in your house, ghost stuff?
Um, no, not so much poltergeist stuff. It's just you, when you're when you're a medium, you see stuff, and especially being younger, you're still a little closer to the other side. So, your abilities are a little bit stronger because, your life hasn't been jaded by life. And so me seeing things was normal. You know, grandmother passed, but I knew about it before my mom came down to tell me because, my grandmother came down to tell me that she loves me and that I'm going to do great things and I will see her soon. So seeing things, knowing things has just been par for course for me.
Okay.
I know that for a lot of people that don't experience it, they're just, oh, how could I wish I could, and I would. It's kind of like if you drive a Range Rover every day, it's like it's just a vehicle. But for other people, like, oh, I'd love to drive a Range Rover, and it's just kind of I tend to my abilities just get it, wad it up into a ball, put it in my back pocket, and just try to experience my experiences and have the best life possible.
Um, Now, let me see. Now, do you think you're from a family of experiencers?
Uh, yes, yes, absolutely. Um, so my father had a near-death experience. Uh, I was just a little tiny guy, maybe 2 years old. My father was in a car accident, and he had been in the accident. Ambulance showed up. My father remembers coming out of his body, kind of coming up, rotating over. So he's looking down. He saw his body and saw one of the uh, EMT people steal his wedding ring, and went through the whole thing that a lot of people talk about, which is saw the white light, crossed over, saw some of his family members that had crossed over as well, and they greeted him, and then they just said, "It's not your time. You have to go back." And so my dad woke up in the hospital, and so hearing that as a child growing up, uh, having the experience that happened to me just kind of normalized my understanding of what we're doing here on this planet right now is uh, what's not real. What's real is back home up in what we call heaven. So, I've always had these way different perspectives than most people.
Yeah, same for me. We had loads of ghost stories in the family.
Yeah.
Now, things that happened to my uncle, grandfather. I never met him, but he died from lung cancer. When you start smoking cigarettes at the age of 5 or 6, don't really last long, but yeah. So yeah, growing up, when it came to the ET thing, when I started learning about the ET, yeah, my ET contacts, I said, oh well, there you go. There, I wasn't really afraid of anything after that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's really, when it comes to them, there's really not much to what I've come to understand with my experiences. I don't have anything to fear. If anything, they have helped keep me alive. And I sent you some pictures of scoop marks, and I have several. And a lot of people, you know, I've seen some videos, oh, they're testing you and they're doing experiments on you, and maybe, I don't know. They're evil, wanted they're abducting you. It's like, how are you abducting me when you're carefully putting me back, screening my memory so that I can have the best life possible with this duality that we have of being in contact and trying to have a human experience. If they were abducting us, they'd just grab us and go.
Now, do you recall, is there a story for every scoop mark or a divot that's on your body?
Um, no, it's actually just kind of one thing. Our family has a history of blood clots. My father has them. My mom, they both take blood thinners. I don't. And so I get blood clots. And the reason I found out that my scoop marks were based upon uh, them helping me remove my blood clots because they are more aware of my body than I am aware of it myself. And I didn't find out that information until I went and got a QHHT, quantum healing hypnotherapy, which is something that Dolores Cannon had developed as a deeper level of hypnosis, so that you're able to kind of access your subconscious, which recalls everything about every past life you've ever had. And you're also able to contact your higher self, which is your greater soul, because all of your soul can't fit inside your physical body. It would be too much. And so when I had my QHHT, one of the questions I had asked the practitioner to ask myself while I was under was, what was up with the scoop marks? And they said they're uh, helping me and removing the uh, blood clots. And so afterwards, like, oh, okay, cool, awesome, thank you, team. Because I'm sure those aliens are like, I tell you what, this mother trucker just needs to take better care of himself. This Scotch cigars, concerts, this guy needs to slow down and eat a salad or something.
Uh, yeah. Um, Now, are they painful? Did you feel them? How did you know
Uh,
that you had these scoop marks?
well, they're unique. If you see one scoop mark and you see others, they are very similar. They're very unique. Um, it's kind of when you hurt yourself. Let's say you got a stick and jabbed your arm or something. Uh, you would have it would blood would flow, clot, and then heal up. Well, these scoop marks kind of look similar to, like, it's a puncture wound. It doesn't scar uh, and kind of heal back up where the scar kind of raises above, your skin, which scars do, scar tissue will. These ones actually indent in. So if you push your finger down on the scoop mark, you'll feel it dent in. And it looks more like dried skin than it does a scar. And so I periodically, when I'm showering, it's like putting on my socks. It's like, oh, hey, there's a new one. I guess I must have Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. You know, that's how you come up with it. There's not any you know, ouch, pain. It's just kind of like, oh, hey, that's a new mark. And we all, you know, people who are contactees, we all get marks at some point in time.
I had
You know,
a
they do testing on us. What about you? Do you have marks?
yeah, well, I have one since, or had one since, well, it's still there. So imagine that you're at the age of like 2 or 3 and you start looking at your body and you realize there's what I thought was a small piece of rock just above the knee cap underneath the skin. And it was sort of grayish. And your legs are like this wide really when you're like
Yeah.
2 or 3 and no body here whatsoever. And I thought, well, that's strange. Okay, I might have fell on the ground, play on like I don't know, it might have rolled around in the gravel. I don't know. And but it was there. And well, now looking at it from an adult's perspective, if it were a rock, it would have, the pus would have pushed it upwards and try to expel it. But it's still there. And when you look at it closely, it looks like a triangle, really.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't know. It's not like I don't. If you touch it, it's not hard, and it's just there. It doesn't look like a brown spot. It's weird. And I had it scanned and didn't react to metal, so I really don't know. But other than that, I don't have any like body
Have you
marks.
ever done any type of hypnosis?
No, once like over the internet, I was a bit. I didn't go deep enough, and I was a bit afraid.
I tell you what,
I really need somebody to actually do like
like,
really
oh,
get me
that
under.
it's I would recommend it. There's do you know who Yvonne Smith is?
I know of Anya.
All right, she's just a dear friend of mine. And she regressed me once. And you know, we discovered that this time I had gone to Colorado to visit a friend that I had woken up the next morning in my hotel room, and I had this piece of skin like someone got a really sharp razor and shaved it off so that you could kind of see the pink flesh underneath, and there was like a clear goo on it, and it woke me up at like, I don't know, like 4:30 in the morning. And you know, I kind of turned on the lamp and kind of bleary-eyed looked at it, and it's like, ouch. You know, I don't remember doing anything. I just, you know, watched TV and fell asleep. And so I went back to sleep, woke up again, uh, and looked at it again, and I noticed it had started healing rapidly. And you know, later, I don't remember. I'll have to look at I took pictures of it. And later on, it had healed more. And by like 5, 6 o'clock, it had completely healed. Now I'm talking, you could see like pink flesh underneath. It was just covered with this clear goo. And within like 12 hours, completely healed. And I took pictures.
No
And
scar
if I can find them,
whatsoever.
if I can find them, I'll send them to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so I had a question about that, and I had asked Yvonne when she puts me under to ask about that, and I had responded that they did a test on me just to see how I'm genetically doing. I didn't ask for any details about, you know, well, what kind of genetic testing are we doing? What kind of long-lasting things? It's just kind of like, what happened? And so she just told me it was like a testing, and she said that there was a tall gray and a mantis in my room the whole time while I was in my room, but I couldn't see them, which is kind of made sense to me because I know that when I was watching TV, I had this weird, not weird feeling. It's just like a normal feeling when you know that there's another presence in the room. But what puzzled me about it was like it didn't seem like there was one, that there's two. And that just kind of like hung in the back of my head, like, why was I feeling that? I'm really usually sensitive about what's going on and very dismissive. It's kind of like, if I get the presence, like, okay, that was, someone who had passed away. All right, that one, there's someone who had passed away, but this one was just kind of like, it's kind of like lingering. And then it's just kind of like, maybe I'm just tired from the flight. And so that kind of helped answer that, question.
I had Sherry Wild on,
Mm-hmm.
like my first interview ever. I had Susie Hansen, Judy Carroll, and Sherry on, and Sherry, she also had regression done, but it took 7 times I think before she got under deep enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so the hypnotherapist was asking her questions, and she didn't believe she was deep under. And I think she said that the hypnotherapist inserted a needle into Sherry's hand just to prove a point, and she didn't feel a thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
it's really kind of amazing. Um, Yvonne was the first person to hypnotize me. And then I had uh, started reading Dolores Cannon's books, and then decided, a lot of people who go and get regressions from like Dolores Cannon, for QHHT, they're looking to get healed. QHHT, your higher self is, if people knew, they would be more QHHT hypnotherapists and people going to them, because you go on YouTube and you Google QHHT healing, and you'll hear people get healed. You'll hear people talk about their higher selves telling them what's wrong when they do a body scan. My own girlfriend who has MS has been helped tremendously more in one QHHT session than she has had in years of medications. And so, your body being able to heal yourself, most people go to get some sort of healing. Mine was just kind of it's like the stars aligned, and someone was saying, hey, I just got my level 2. I got to do some free ones. And so I texted him, was like, hey, I'll take you up on it. And it was really interesting. He was kind of surprised about some stuff. And these guys that have done their hypnosis hear a lot of stuff, and pick up and garner a lot of information that they're hearing from their patients. And so when you start being this QHHT hypnotherapist, you have this good sized knowledge of the universe, because most people think about this much, which is my life, my job, my family. And then you have people who are starting to understand a little bit more about the universe. These guys with QHHT know about this much. And there's a lot. And so, we discussed how something had happened to me when I went camping. Uh, I kind of knew what it was about, but I was 100% sure, but I wasn't 1,000% sure. So I had gone camping with a bunch of my friends from MUFON. It's an annual camping trip. And while we were asleep, uh, it was probably about 4:30 in the morning. You're kind of starting coming out of your deep sleep, getting to your kind of waking up state. And it's a small space of time. And that small space, you have your brain waves are in a hypnopompic state, which is the same one as a deep level of hypnosis. So as I'm kind of coming from deep sleep into nearing my waking state, I remember seeing in my mind's eye like a film cell. It's like the old film strip, and you have the frame with the little holes, and it was a picture of me. It was me from my Facebook page. And so I'm still kind of not asleep, but not awake. And it's like, oh, that's me. Well, all of a sudden it just pops up to the next slide. And it's like, there's a Japanese woman. It's like, oh, that's me. Because of my, I don't know if it's because of my walking experience, but I have conscious memory of my past two lives. The past one, I was a Japanese woman. Well, when I have these memories, I'm seeing them from first person. So I don't really see myself. But when I saw her, I immediately recognized her. And, that was me. And then it quickly went up this is happening very rapidly. And the next one was like this kind of Egyptian looking male. And it's like, that's me. And the next one, and it's all of a sudden it's like going faster, going faster. Next one was not human. And, looks kind of like a bluish kind of a ant type being. It's like, oh, that's me. And then it just started going fast and fast and fast and fast and fast until it was all a blur. And then it stopped. And then I woke up. And, when I woke up, I was just kind of laying there, just, thinking about it. Just, that's odd, but I'm sure it had a purpose. And, kind of explained it to my girlfriend and, some of the other people. And I was always kind of curious about it. And so one other question was that I had asked my QHHT practitioner was, hey, what was that about? And it was just for me to remind me that I am not just the person who I am now. I am the accumulation of all these past lives. And it's just a reminder. Because sometimes I can get caught up like anybody else in being a human. And that's not the purpose. The purpose is figure out your lessons and, be the best possible human you can be. And, we just kind of go through it, and it was just a reminder.
Nice. Let's talk about when the grays came to you. At what age did that happen?
Let's see. I think it was like late 40s.
Wow.
Maybe mid 40s. Yeah, it was just in my room. I knew it was kind of a full moon or close to full moon night because my room was fairly well lit up from the moon. And I just happened to wake up, and I kind of opened your eyes and kind of looked over, and there's 3 small grays at the foot of my bed, just kind of, each one was facing each other, and like they were in a conference. And of course it's silent because it's telepathic. And all of a sudden one of them just snaps his head and sees that I'm awake, and just kind of like raises a finger and just goes like that and back asleep. Longest 4 seconds of my life. And I guarantee they probably would be more terrified than I would have been. And I remember in that moment, I said, guys, I would have met you someplace. And I just remember this voice in my head that said, no. And then I went back to sleep. I woke up.
They never came back?
Oh, I'm sure they've been back many, many, many times, but no, that was just it.
Good.
It's like this, it's normal. It's like this normal thing. Like you have this, like your favorite aunt who comes and visits, and but she visits when you're asleep, but she kind of pokes her head in, checks on you, gives you a kiss on the forehead, and leaves the room. She knows she was there, she saw you, but she left, but you never know. So it's similar to that. One of the things that I really enjoy talking about when I talk to people who think they were visited, a lot of them have a lot of fear. And once we start having these conversations about our contact, they begin to realize there's no real fear. The fear has been generated from movies, from all these other people who are making money because fear sells. Scary movies, they sell.
Yeah.
No one wants to hear about aliens. They're just kind of like behind the scenes, just doing their jobs. And, once they're done with their jobs, they go off and play soccer or whatever they do, in their spare time.
You said to me that the three grays looked like Skinny Bob.
Yeah, they look just like Skinny Bob. For the people who've seen the Skinny Bob films, yeah, they look just like them.
So they were wearing clothing?
Um, I don't recall clothing. I mean, it was one Mississippi, two Mississippi, three Mississippi,
Yeah.
four Miss- and then by the fourth Mississippi, you're just down. But you're just, I mean, kind of dumbstruck, like, oh shit, you guys are at the foot of my bed, asleep.
Supposedly
But
back in 2011, that's when the original Skinny Bob video came out, and the KGB said that they're the ones that had the being, and he was a pilot from Zeta Reticuli.
mhm,
Who knows? But yeah, fascinating though. For the time, it looked pretty good. It
it
looked
does.
pretty good.
It does. It, for me, it's just a normal thing. For other people, it's some super fantastic experience. For other people, you're seeing demons, and for other people, they're like, yeah, you're just dreaming, which is fine. I had the experience. I know what's going on. I saw them. Believe me, don't believe me. It does not bother me.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of crazy how some people are just, you know, like that. Uh, my experiences, I'm just a little different. I know most everybody in the Phoenix MUFON. We spend a lot of time together. We go camping together. These are the people who investigate UFOs. I am not into UFOs. I cannot get into UFOs. It's kind of like some, for me, they're space taxis. That is all they are. They're just space taxis. They're vehicles. I'm sure people are reacting to them like when people see the new Tesla Cybertrucks. They're like, "Did you see that?" It's like, it's just a vehicle. Not even really into aliens. It's we can't be the only sentient life in this universe. It's mathematically impossible. Uh, my experience from remembering past lives, especially one being a giant blue ant, um, there's tons of life. I'm more into the people who are contactees that have developed fear from their contact because they don't understand. The only thing they're seeing is, fear-filled YouTube videos and, scary movies. When you talk about it with them, they're just kind of like, oh, that's it. And then they have a better grasp. Clearly I'm minimizing it, but when you have these long discussions and things make sense to them, yeah, it's not as scary as everyone makes it out to be.
Now, let's talk about some of the UFOs you saw. You saw a black pyramid.
Yes, I did. I was at visiting my parents, and they live in Mesa, Arizona. Kind of faces the towards the superstitions. There's Mesa Gateway Airport that's 5 miles away, and I'm on the back patio, and I'm having a cigar, and I'm just kind of like leaning back, beautiful sky. I just enjoy their backyard, and I'm just kind of sitting there, kind of looking off to my right, and then all of a sudden a voice over here says, "David," and I turn, and here comes this black pyramid UFO just cruising by. It's about the size of a two-story house. It had a texture. There were no lights. There was no sound. It was just cruising, and then came across my full view, and as soon as it did, it just shot up. But crystal clear. It was probably 200 yards off the ground. So it was pretty low. It was close to the airport, so it couldn't have been a helicopter, couldn't have been an airplane. And as soon as it took off, it was just kind of like, what the shit? Thanks, guys. Appreciate that, because every contactee wants to have that validation.
And how about the disc UFO?
Seeing discs, my favorite one, and it was just one of those. Our memories are screened. They take great care to screen our memories so that, we can try to best be a human as possible. And, but if you relax your mind, either through meditation or learning types of meditation, and you really want to have a little more answers, some memories will kind of trickle up to your conscious. And I remember sitting at work, and all of a sudden I had like this memory. Being in a field at night with flashlights, with people I don't recognize, but I know them, because we're talking about, like, how's your aunt doing? How's your mom doing? And, we're maybe 7, 8 of us, and it's nighttime. It's a field, and all of a sudden someone says, "Oh, there they are," and then as the light got closer, our flashlights died, and you could see it was a bell-shaped UFO. And I got excited, and I was like, "Oh, sweet! They sent a bell." So I don't know if the bell UFOs are more comfortable or better seat cushions or taller, because I'm 6'2", and I don't know, but I remember seeing it. It's like, oh yeah, that's a bell UFO.
Wow. I've only seen two. Well, those that came up to me and were up close, like maybe
Yeah,
30 feet above the power lines, were like orb shaped or elongated, like an egg shaped, let's say, a bit more roundish,
yeah.
orange, red, same one. So, but I did have a whole bunch of lights flashing here and there for many minutes in front of me. But yeah, that's pretty cool.
There's that. But I also meant to talk a little bit more about my not being a human form. And I've always had these memories of someplace, another planet, that there was a pinkish purplish sky and kind of large green hills, no mountains, just large hills. I've always had those memories. And it wasn't until I had a QHHT that I asked about that. And I had responded, um, this is my planet before I had to come down here to third density. And he said, can you look down at your feet? Can you tell me what shoes you're wearing? And then I remember saying, I'm not wearing shoes, and I don't even know how to describe them as feet. And then you can hear in his voice, because every QHHT is recorded and you get the recording. And he's like, can you describe your body? And say, yes, I kind of a shiny blue metallic, kind of a large blue ant. And he's like, can you tell me about your planet? And I start describing the planet. Are you the only one there? It's like, no, there's someone who lives, in the distance there, another one over there, another one over there. Do you have a house? And it's like, well, I have a shelter, and it's got a place for me to lay down and relax. I said there's another area where I can provide food, which we don't need, but sometimes it's a courtesy thing. And they're like, do you have a UFO that you go in? And I said, no, I can actually, in sixth density, you have this knowledge of the universe. And so I can project myself to someplace on another planet, look around, make sure everything is okay, and then will my body to show up. And so I just go and transport it myself. I said, but there are times when I do have to travel in a craft because the place that I'm going, the atmosphere would be toxic for me. It could be something could be harmful for me. And I said, there's times where I have to tuck my legs in and it's very uncomfortable to travel sometimes. Yeah.
Fascinating. Well,
So,
I've had this dream once where I was with my brother, and there was this sort of in the sky, this black, like 3D black pyramid. That was like two pyramids into one. So I basically got a 3D Star of David, and it was flying towards me. And when it came to me, it morphed into a gray. The gray said that I had an important mission. Then it disappeared. From that moment on, I black out and I wake up in front of two humans wearing government attire, and they start debriefing me nonstop. What did the gray say? What did the gray say? What did the gray say? And I tell them, well, the gray only said that I do have an important mission, but that's it. So like, they get up and they're really, really mad. And that's when I wake up the next morning. So I Google the next day, 3D Black Pyramid, whatever. And the name that came out was, with the image of exactly what I saw, was a Merkaba, which is the sole vehicle of an individual. So the gray would morph into its Merkaba, which was the pyramid, 3D pyramid I talked about, and use that as a traveling device to come to me. So that reminded me a bit of your story. So that was fascinating.
yes, sir. Have you ever found out, why you're here?
Now, I've only according to Pat Jackson, one of my guests on my show, I told her a story about remembering being in orbit of Earth, looking towards the planet. My current mother, was beside me, and what appeared to be my dad wore my dad's face, but I knew it wasn't him somehow. And I told her the story that we were all happy. We knew that we were coming down towards the planet. And she said that I was in a holding area, perhaps for souls before coming in. But that's all I remember. So I don't know if the Grace said I had a mission. It's probably just to get like your stories out. But we do have all these the little things in everyday life. Those are important. So like just helping your neighbor and trying to educate people and whatnot. All of those things do come into play.
Those are all very important. It's kind of like the more people that are able to do that, you kind of have this butterfly pond ripple effect. And, just helping get these stories out, get perspectives, more importantly, of people's experiences for other people to kind of, well, this is a different perspective than I heard from this guy who said aliens tortured him, and whatever. It helps them kind of form an opinion of what maybe this person's more correct than that person, and it helps if that's part of what you're supposed to do. Beautiful. I know that in QHHT, the reason I came down here was to help with the transformation, that my first life, where kind of kicking myself for not asking where was I and why was I, killed in this very large tidal wave. Um, and then my first life during that time is that, and I just say Egyptian male. I don't know if it was Egypt or someplace like that. I just know I had an adobe house. I had a family. I was kind of like a village leader, uh, organizing, building. I enjoyed building things, and I had a 2-story like adobe type of house, and I was with my family, and all of a sudden there's like this rumbling sound that's like scary. It was scary, and so I run out and I look and I really kind of can't see anything, and so I go to the side of my house and I have a wooden ladder and I climb up the wooden ladder and I'm on the roof of the first level and I climb up to the roof of the second level, and here's just this huge black tumultuous dark gray tidal wave coming at me so rapidly, and I remember it hitting me, and I remember going on the ground and having it kill me. So I had that, and the first life was for me to get acclimated to being in third density as a human. The second life I had, I was a Japanese woman. Uh, and again, it's like after you get these QHHT, it's like, why didn't I ask, what location or what year it was? But it was like I want to say turn of the 17th century Japan. My husband was a royal accountant. And so we were very wealthy. And I had servants, and I didn't like having servants. They would get annoyed with me because I wanted to cook. I could never cook, and I would have to force them to allow me to cook. And I was just very unhappy. And I had 2 daughters that had passed away when they were children because our medical technology at the time couldn't help them. And so it was a very sad life, very comfortable, but I was very sad. My husband had bought me a piano. You don't have pianos in Japan. He thought maybe that would make me happy, and I hated it. So, I would have these memories of being this woman in Japan, and it was just a very sad life and very unhappy. And a lot of times when I would have these memories or dream about these memories, I'd kind of wake up almost sobbing. QHHT found out that I had that lifetime so I could remember what it's like to have loss, because I had lost my daughters. Oddly enough, the universe seemed fit for me to, in this lifetime, have my daughter, who's not my biological daughter, but I will love her as one, to be one of my past daughters who had passed away. Her baby daddy was my other daughter. They're not together. He's still a good kid. He made some bad decisions, but when I was told, when my higher self told me that, it made me understand how come I love this kid as much as I did. And my daughter didn't understand until I tried to explain it to her, and then she's like, "Oh, that's how come you love him so much." It's like, yeah. She's like, "But it doesn't make sense to me." So it's okay. It doesn't have to make sense to you. It just makes sense to me. So, it's kind of cool that the universe saw fit to allow me to not have that loss, but I still remember it. And in this lifetime, I am here to just channel this energy that comes from a different dimension for this transformation that we're about to experience.
Is your current girlfriend an experiencer as well?
I don't think so. I don't think so. But what I can say about her, and it's the greatest compliment I can give anybody, and she doesn't quite understand it. She's stunning. She just beautiful, blonde hair, fabulous figure, green eyes, but she is the kindest person I have ever met. Just the kindest person. And for her, it's like, how come I can't be the sexiest or the most beautiful? It's like, no, you're on a soul level, you're the kindest person I've ever met. I took her to get her QHHT because she has MS, and that I know that to be one of the best ways to find out how we can fix her with the QHHT or how to alleviate her symptoms. Well, we come to find out that right before she got her MS, excuse me, she was in a car accident. And she had a decision. She could go ahead and die from a heart attack from that car accident, or go ahead and continue living, but with MS. And gratefully, she chose to continue living with MS. And so, we were able to alleviate a lot of the symptoms from her MS to the point where immediately she was just taking like 1/3 of the medication that she was taking before. She remembers a past life, which I'm not sure if she was a believer in before, but she saw, herself as this beautiful woman and another country speaking a language she didn't understand. And she saw her stepson was involved in her previous life also. And I really don't know how often these, entanglements from people in your past lives, how we meet up. I'm not sure how often that happens or how frequent or infrequent. I just know a few people who've had that in my experience of having it. She's since have had more subsequent QHHTs where she was able to go back and while under hypnosis, she's had these heart issues. And while she was under, she during a body scan that your higher self does, had described, there's something in my heart. I don't know what it is. And so the practitioner, her name is Susie, said, are you able to remove it? And, she's just, I don't know. I don't know. So during the course of this hypnosis session, all of a sudden, Rhoda just starts going, ow, 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 ow. And I'll just kind of like having trouble breathing. And apparently just pulls something out of her heart. She didn't know what it was. It was something. And ever since that session, she has not had any heart issues at all, ever. So, there's these things that are, kind of ethereal, that kind of manifest physically, that, we can do and fix. But a lot of people don't know about it. A lot of people wouldn't believe in it. Other people will believe in it. And the ones that believe, they're the ones that'll get help.
I went to see a healer once, and this is like way, way back, but so he did like energy work on me, and he said he couldn't cure my RA, but he said I could really, really relax you. So he starts pulling away this sort of black energy that was coming out of my head. I was just doing this within like maybe like a minute or two after that. He said you're gonna feel like really, really heavy, and then bang. It's as if so I was lying on this sort of massage table, and it's as if my entire body, somebody put like 200 pounds on me, and I felt like digging into the bed.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Like, oh my God, that's how it's it, or that's how heavy I felt. And I was super relaxed for 48 hours after that. So that was amazing.
I've had, these things that are not physical, that we have in this 3D construct, how we live our lives. A friend of mine, Tammy, amazing, amazing woman. she'll give me a Reiki session. And I had an ex-girlfriend who had a session done also. And I'm watching Tammy, she's kind of like, got her hands doing her Reiki stuff. And all of a sudden I see her just do this and just like let something go. And I'm watching because it's towards the evening, so the room's darker. I'm sitting on my bed, just relaxed, because I just had my session and everything's just glowing. And I see her when she's doing this, she's pulling out, they look like little lightning bolts. And she's just like setting them free. And it's like, wow, that is the coolest freaking thing. Am I really seeing this? And, I'm just watching her do this. And, my perspective kind of changes where I'm kind of starting to be taller than what I really am. And then I kind of realize, all right, I kind of put my eyes downwards a little bit from what I was seeing. And I saw the top of my head is like, oh shit, and just drop back into my body again. So, there's these things that we are capable of doing that happen, that manifest physically, but are more etherically probable. And once you can kind of understand that and relate to that, that really opens up a lot more of, what you can experience with this crazy universe.
Have you ever had angelic experiences before?
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Quite frequently, actually.
What happened?
There's two things that for me, there's well, several. One is you can have it happen to you by your thoughts. Have you ever had something happen where no, don't go down this street, or don't go down this, take this way to go home on the freeway, and then you hear like this huge multi-car accident? I've had that. I've had my daughter had a half day at school, and I went to go pick her up, and I told my business partner, it's like, hey, I'm gonna go pick up Isis. We'll bring her back and she can do her homework and I'll just work. And I went and picked her up, and I just had this urge to pick her up, and I just had this urge to go get a haircut. I just had a haircut like 2 weeks ago. It's like, I don't need to get a haircut, but I just had this urge to go get a haircut. So it's like, all right, Isis, I'm going to go get a haircut. I'll take you to the spot. There's a nail place right next door. You can get your nails done. I'll get a haircut. And called my business partner. It's like, hey, I'm just going to take the rest of the day off, spend it with Isis. And she goes, gets nails. I go to get a haircut. Right after I finish getting my haircut, I get a phone call from my business partner. It's like, hey, we just got robbed at gunpoint. I thought we were going to get killed, because a guy came in, told us to go to the back room and get on our knees, and press the gun to the back of our heads. He's like, I thought they were going to kill us. He was going to kill us. We don't keep much cash. It's a credit card and check business. So I was able to avoid that. And kind of during that time, I was big into guns. So I had a sidearm on me that I didn't have all the time, but sometimes I carried. And it was that one of those days where I was carrying. So I am 1000% sure something would have happened if I was there and, I saw the gun and I pulled and shot. So, whatever the universe had planned took me away from that situation to go get a haircut that I really didn't need. So, that's one aspect of it. The other one, I was heading to, I forgot where I was going to. The street I go down is a light. It's a T, and there's a lake on the other side of this street with a fountain. And so I'm just kind of sitting there, at this red light, and traffic is going this way. And the corner of my eye, I see someone jumping up and down, waving their arms, trying to get my attention out of the corner of my eye. And I look, and there's no one there. And I look at the light, it had just turned green. And I swear there's someone jumping up and down, waving their arms. And so I look again, there's nothing there. By the time I go, God, that's weird, I see this kid in this black SUV blow the red light. So if I had gone when it was green, he would have T-boned me on the passenger side. So that'd have been no more Dave. So yeah.
Someone's protecting you.
Yes.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Which is kind of funny because I know when I get to go back home, not for a while. And so I've always kind of been, I wonder if I could go be a bomb disposal person and just dispose of every single bomb, because I know that's not my time. But then again, I don't want to tempt fate. I don't.
Let's talk about destiny versus free will.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
So with my experience with my, everybody has, your life decisions. These are some life agreements. These are what you agreed to happen. The best way I can describe it is the beginning of your life starts in Los Angeles. Your life is this cross-country trip to New York. You're born, you start off in LA. You have your first life agreement, and let's say that is Las Vegas. Everything you do in between your drive from LA to Las Vegas is your free will, but you're going to end up in Vegas because that is an anchor point for your life agreement. You agreed to it. So you have all this free will, but you also have your, whatchamacallit, your predestination. Your next trip is to the Grand Canyon. That's your next life agreement. So everything between Las Vegas and the Grand Canyon, that is your free will, but you're going to end up in Grand Canyon, all the way to New York. That's how I can best describe my life, knowing my life agreements and having free will. One of the other things I forgot to talk about, and it is a common shared experience, almost down to the exact detail that a lot of contactees have. And I've mentioned it to some people, and when I'm talking to them, a lot of times I won't ask it like a question. I will just say, tell me about the time that you were on top of a mountain with a tall gray. And they will go, how did you know that? It's like, I just know. Tell me about it. And they will describe being on top of this tall mountain with a tall gray. And down below, they will see massive earthquakes, tidal waves, and hurricane winds. And I said, yes, I've had that exact same thing. And then they kind of get like, how did you know? You just like said it like, you know, I knew that. It's like, I just do. And I mention it to certain people, and they're just like, yeah, how do you know this? Yvonne Smith. And I've told Yvonne whenever she's talking to people, feel free to use my name. You got free will to go ahead and use it. You have my permission. And, during a conversation with her, it was, I told her about it, and she ended up emailing back, responding to me and said, I had that. I had that exact same scenario. People who were in the head of MUFON, he's no longer the head of MUFON here in the Phoenix area. And it was at Travis Walton's Skyfire Summit. And it wasn't a question. It was like, hey, tell me about being on the tall mountain with a tall gray. And he's like, how do you know this? How do you know these things? And he told me the exact same thing, just almost down to the same detail. And, conversations, Yvonne Smith has a couple of fantastic books. People watching, Yvonne Smith, get her books, but she describes how a lot of us regressed contactees are shown, and we have this, we know something is going to happen soon. Something's very destructive is going to happen soon, and it's going to involve massive earthquakes, massive tidal waves, loss of life, hurricane force winds. We know it's going to happen. A lot of us have this urgency to like prepare, do something. And I can think of 4, 5 people. We've all had this exact same scenario, down to the details. Just kind of like, how did you know this? It's like, I just know.
How's your book coming along?
Well, I have a super strong outline. I have a great first and second chapter. I merged my business partner's company with mine, and then we moved to a new location, and it has just been crazy busy with business just taking off, and I haven't had a chance. I've been doing these 50, 60-hour work weeks that are just, I have no time. It's there. It's like, I keep saying, it's like, okay, we're going to slow down. We're going to hire more people. And now we're at that hiring more people stage, so I can back off. So in the evenings, I can just sit there and, have a really nice scotch and just start writing and get it going a little bit more. But it's slowly.
Now, let's call it a day. Do you have a closing statement to get out, or perhaps another story that you might want to share?
No, I can't really think of anything. There, for people who, might have contact, get a hypnosis, find out for sure. Find out for sure. I can tell you one thing. That was the other thing I wanted to say. That I did ask. It was just a feeling I had. And I had asked the QHHT practitioner. And when I told him what the question was, he was like, oh, that's a good one. I had asked him to ask my higher self, and it was just a theory that I had. For the people that understand that right here on Earth, this is 3rd density, and there's 4th density, 5th density, 6th, 7th, and so on until you become your own God, or whatever you want to call it, with your own solar universe, whatever. Every contactee that I had met is highly, highly, highly service to others, meaning we think about other people 50% or more of the time. We can't stop thinking about other people. We're the first ones that will help someone out. We're constantly thinking about them. We're, highly empathic. We, have this loving, caring, and, the other side of the spectrum are people that are service to self, where they think about themselves, their thoughts, their feelings, their comfort 70% or more of the time. Totally cannot fathom living that type of a life. I tried it once for 10 minutes. It's like, I'm going to do it. Just think about me, my own comfort for 10 minutes. Could not do it. So I had this theory that people who were contacted are from a higher density that came down to help out. And so I had asked, and then they said yes. Every person who is a contactee is a 4th density or higher soul coming down here to help out. And so, when people that I meet that are contactees, some people are like, yeah, I'm contacted, hey, let me have some of that. Usually you're not. Your actions can really tell. But the ones who I've talked to that are, that I've met, that I'm friends with, hands down the best people to be with, best people to have around.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, thanks for coming on. It's been fun.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks.
Yeah, it's been fun. And to those watching, hope you enjoyed today's interview. I'm your host, Mr. Great. More interviews coming up, and I'll see you guys next time. So,
Bye,
thank you,
guys.
everyone. Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Great, and thanks for watching today's episode. If you are an abductee, contactee, or experiencer, and you believe that your story could help others, please feel free to contact me through my YouTube channel email. When it comes to experiencers, the ET phenomena, and the future, remember, truth will out.